Um, so today I'm talking about the thermal shelter, one of the projects I've been involved in. We started last year, and we were only there for 5 weeks last year, and this year we had 14 weeks. So we had filed our 501c3, and we had to come up with a mission statement and all that good stuff that you do when you file for a nonprofit status. So we're faith-based because we're hosted in all the churches for the most part, and that's our mission statement. So these are the participating churches. We had 4 last year: New Hope, Virginia Hills, Riverton, and Marlow Heights, and they all participated again this year, and then we added 5 more. So some of the churches, to do the 14 weeks, we had to do 2 weeks in a few churches. So I don't know if you can see, but I have 2 next to the ones that did 2 weeks. But some of the new ones did 2 weeks. It was great. We had so much enthusiasm, participation from volunteers at every church. They had to have a volunteer coordinator. They had to be there all night. They had to make breakfast and lunch and dinners, and so there's a lot involved to be a host church. And usually it's done with a small group of volunteers at each church. So those are the churches, and if you all are a member of a church that is not on this list, but you would love to host next year, let me know. I'll be happy to talk to whoever I need to talk to make that happen. So these are the couple things we did to raise awareness. We were the first place in the Christmas parade for our for our float. And then we did a fundraiser for pictures. Let me put a picture of our police officer there. And then we also had a donation of a 15-passenger van. So we use that to pick up behind CCAP. We pick up every night, and then we usually drop off at McDonald's every morning. But and then we did purchase the trailer, and that houses everything that Thermal Shelter owns is in that trailer. And we move that trailer from church to church, and we can move it with the van. So that's really handy. And right now, Marlow Heights is storing both of them for us, so we're very thankful for that. This is just some churches that hosted us. Riverton was open, I believe, during the day one day when it snowed, so they left it open all day. This is kind of how it looks like. The first picture, kind of move it into a church, getting the cot set up, then, they don't all match. We have, different sheets and blankets, and most of everything was donated. So all the blankets were donated, so it doesn't match. So we have different areas for the men and women. Virginia Hills always served on real plates, real silverware. Every dinner was served that way at Virginia Hills. So just getting ready for everyone to come in. So a lot of the people that we serve have an addiction problem, whether it's alcohol or other addictions. Mostly here was alcohol. Mental health issues were very prevalent for our guests this year also. Oops. So because it's kind of not a great number, but because we've only been open 2 years, and last year was only 5 weeks, so we probably wouldn't have had the same amount of people with the length of the 2 years. But you can see that we have served a lot more people this season than last season, and a lot more women, and a lot of them were senior women. So. Young women, senior women, the younger ones usually had some kind of alcohol dependence, and the older ones they just couldn't make their money stretch for the whole month. They stayed in motel rooms, but it wouldn't stretch all month long. So that's it for my presentation. But if anyone has any questions or would like to know, yes?
Could you just kind of go through the nuts and bolts or the logistics of how this works? I'm not as familiar with it as some are, and I have a feeling I'm not the only one in the club.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so.
When you live it, you feel like everybody knows what you're doing.
Right,
I don't
yeah.
know. So, the logistics, well, we go into a church on a Saturday. We move Saturday, every Saturday we move. In the morning, we move our van and the trailer there in the morning. And in the evening at 5 o'clock, we kind of move into that church. We move everything out of the trailer. We set up the cots, set up the bedding. Mostly that's done with some church volunteers and then our board, which is, we have 7 people on our board, probably 5 are pretty active in doing things like that. And so we set up, get everything ready, so it's ready when they come in. So we send the van out at 6:30 to CCAP. They sit there for 15 minutes and make sure everybody's there, load them on the van, and bring them to whatever church we're at that week. And the ones that are in town, the churches in town, United Methodist, the Episcopal Church, First Baptist, they were all really, local, and most of the guests just walked there. But when we were out at New Hope or at Virginia Hills, so we had to take them in the van. So they get there by 7 o'clock, they go through an intake process where we go through everything they bring in. If they have backpacks, jackets, we go through their pockets, we have them empty out everything to make sure that they don't have any paraphernalia that we don't want there. But for mostly, all their medications are given to us and we store them and until they need it. A lot of them are on a lot of different medications that are prescribed. And then if they have a knife, a lot of them have pocket knives, we lock those up also. They get it back the next day when they leave. So we just make sure that they don't have anything else we don't want there. And then they're assigned to a cot for that week, and they put their stuff at the cot. Then the volunteers from the church have dinner ready, and we serve about 7:30. Serve dinner. Everybody sits down and eats together. The volunteers, the staff from the thermal shelter, whoever's there. We all eat together, and then after that, we serve the guests. They don't get up. It's not, we bring them their plates and everything. So it's really nice that they feel like people care about them and they're treated special. And after dinner, then there's games. If they want to play games, a lot of them just go to bed. They just go lay down. They've been up all day wandering around, and they're drinking and they're tired, so they go lay down. But some of the churches have TVs. We watch movies, or they play cards or games. There's a lot of games there, and they'll play games with volunteers, church volunteers, or our staff. And then lights out at 10. And they usually, depending on the church, have to get up and be out by sometimes as early as 5 a.m. and be out the door by 5 a.m. and sometimes as late as 7, depending if they have a school or preschool going on there. So there are no children. A lot of the churches wanted to bring their families and help out with their kids. It's a no barrier shelter, so there are no children allowed, no one under the age of 18. So we're not able to check and see if they're on a registry or anything like that. And with a lot of them have mental health issues, and even though everyone is usually very nice and very polite, you just don't know, and you just don't know. So yes.
I'm more familiar with Watts because I live in Winchester. Do the different thermal shelter groups coordinate with each other or communicate at all, or is y'all just kind of your own thing?
We kind of we do our own thing. We went to Watts last year and kind of saw their whole process. Went to a few different ones and had people come and speak to us, and we modeled ourselves after Watts. And we do a lot of their intake process is similar, and our rules, there's smoke breaks, there's you know, we ask them to not use, you know, profane language and, you know, there are different rules that we have and consequences to those rules that are very similar to Watt's program. Yes.
So other than like the vehicle expenses and insurance, what are the other operating costs that you run into?
Okay, so we have night managers that we pay. And the night managers, we have one that comes in at 6, helps to set up, and then they're there till midnight. And another one comes in at midnight or 11:30 and until whenever we leave in the morning. And they're there, they're paid to stay awake all night and manage whatever is going on in the evening. That is our biggest expense, is paying those night managers, because you're paying somebody from 6 p.m. to maybe 7 a.m. the next day, you know, 7 days a week for 14 weeks. So that's our biggest expense. And we have we do go through a payroll company, and so we pay taxes, we do all that, all that kind of good stuff.
How much do they cost?
The night managers, it depends. We have one that makes a little bit more. They're like $12 an hour to $14 an hour, depending on how long they've been with us. Yeah.
So can you tell us how many clients you typically serve?
It really varies every night. You could go from 5 one night to 13 the next night. It's just, a lot of them are incarcerated. Thank you very much. You take it away. Periodically, they're, you know, if we don't have a few of them, we know that they're probably in jail. But, and it's usually for drunken public. That's, you know, that's that type of a thing. That's why they're there. And a lot of them have medical issues, so they're in the emergency room. But the most we had at one time was 13. We only had 15 cots, so that was good. And, but it does vary day to day how many you have. But for the most part, we had around 10, I think, on an average every night.
Do you take outside people who want to volunteer their time?
Yes.
And is there a training process for that?
We haven't been great at that. We usually go into the church and we try to do a training with the churches before we come in. This coming year, we're going to have, what I would like to do, and I don't always get what I like to do, but what I'd like to do is have a bit more of a community training for people outside and with the churches that could come in and do a training. Yeah. Yes.
So how many days these people stay in one location? Is it only
7 days. So Saturday to Saturday, yes, at one church.
So they'll come back there each night and sleep?
Yes. And they have their own cot. And we don't have so many, like, Wallace has 35 people, and they have more homeless than that. So if you miss a night, my understanding is that you lose that cot, you lose that place. We're small, so we could have someone that misses a night and their cot's still there the next night or 2 nights later when they come back, you know. And, so we're a little bit more of an intimate group, and we know a lot about our people, and they're able to miss some time and still come and get it. Yeah. Yes.
How do we get the word out in the community that the shelters are there for the people who need it?
So we have a Facebook page, flyers. We've sent flyers to all the churches. That, I mean, as far as putting it out, we did put some out at like Fantasyland in the shelters. I'm not sure how much people like all that, but we do that. But just in that, we had a lot of media coverage, newspapers, articles and stuff like that. I'm not sure how to get the word out to the people that I think are really, you know, living in tents.
So the library might be a good place,
Yeah.
because a lot of people spend the cold days in there.
That's true.
And of course, I'm sure the police.
Yeah, and the police, and I'm very, We've notified the police department, dispatch, knew every week when we moved, they had our schedule, they knew where we were every week, they should know.
So my question is, do you have people there who are emergency trained for things like Revive, the Narcan, and CPR?
Yeah, that,
Because the Revive's available, commercial, sorry, free.
Right.
You just make an appointment at the health department and they'll train a person or a group of people or family. So if you want, that can be a piece of it.
and we want that to be a piece of it, and I think I did talk to you a little bit about it, but, that, we did not do that this year. We didn't have Narcan, we didn't have training on Narcan. So we talked about it, we want to do it, it just didn't happen. So that's a good to know that through the health department, we can get that done. I didn't know the health department did that.
Yeah,
So-
they have a grant so they can do individual training. So
Okay, so
they'd
we'll-
be happy
Yeah.
to do a group at once, I'm sure.
Yeah, we would be happy to do that. Yes.
I just wanted to speak, I attend First Baptist Church and was able to serve both times this year. Probably as a meal host and also stay until the 11 o'clock time to play games with clients who were there and guests. And I had a marvelous time. It's a really healthy thing to do, to spend time with folks that, we see at the gazebo, Martin's. I've seen folks up down in the corner, Castiglios, all around town, Main Street. The people who are smiling at you and walking by, a lot of those folks are clients. So it really has been fun to see them in different places, and I see them frequently at Martin's when I shop. I live in town, and they'll just come up and say hello. They remember who you are, and it's kind of like you strike up a friendship with people you wouldn't really meet. So there's a lot of misconceptions about the homeless as well. So it's a healthy thing to spend time with these folks, because they really are our neighbors. And I truly enjoyed the time that I had. So I just wanted to mention it's not just all work. It's a lot of fun spending time with folks and having a meal, playing games, and I just think it's a great ministry, a great opportunity. So.
And First Baptist was wonderful. They have a great space for us in there. Yes.
I just want to mirror the same thing. Calgary Episcopal was a host. Also, this is our first year. I was only able to assist one evening with the meal, but a very, very satisfying experience and a great opportunity for your church to enjoy fellowship. I highly recommend it.
Michelle, just to follow up on Bill's question about advertising, and you did an excellent job on the radio, giving your presentation. That's how I first heard about it.
Oh, okay.
So then we put it in our plan for our mission project at our church, because in that particular program, you listed some of the things, care items that the recipients could use. And so we've been collecting those items for you. So you might want to tell a few of the things that people could for next year possibly bring.
Socks.
We collected lots of socks.
More socks. Yes, Michael.
Just more a statement, if you take this presentation on the road to different churches and you promise that the length of your presentation today is how long your presentation will be at the churches, I will follow you.
Okay.
That says a lot.
I just wanted to kind of echo Shane and Maria. When the Farm 49 Methodist did, I was there every night. I didn't spend every night. I did spend the night 4 nights. But it was very rewarding and not a burden, really. And there are lots of people from friends, I guess, of the shelter, to not just the staff and board members that are there also, and they really get to know the clients and kind of look forward to me talking to them and sharing time. And we do breakfast every month, and one of the people who came to the breakfast just as a person in the community coming to breakfast was an individual who had been in the shelter, and we found out that he now has an apartment on Main Street. Yeah. And so somebody who was part of the shelter for at least part of the season and was able to save enough money to actually have a place to live on his own. So I think that was kind of like, oh, that's good. Used this for the time that he needed it and was not using it all the time. He got his stuff together and was able to establish himself. So
And we do have though, I should say that, we do have individuals that are just going through a hard time financially. And they don't have the addiction and the health issues that most of the other ones have. And so it does give them the opportunity to save some money, because some of them are working and they save money and they're able to go on and get housing. So it does help those people.